Hey guys, it is Scanner here. It's been quiet on the channel for the last couple of weeks. Don't worry about it. I've just been having some stuff that I needed to focus on. What I want to talk about today is not my channel at all. It's somebody else's channel. It's A Vox in the Void. A Vox in the Void has unfortunately been demonetized by YouTube under their inauthentic content guidelines. Now, this has been happening on and off across various LoreTubers for a while now. It happened to a really good channel called Remembrancer just before Christmas, I believe. And I nearly pulled the trigger and made a video about it, except for the fact that A, we kind of cover different games. He's in like the 40k space. And I didn't really feel like, other than being a fan of his, I didn't feel that connection, I guess. And B, much bigger and more prominent channels were already on it. So I felt like it was covered and it was done, and he ended up kind of getting his channel back. Lots of people are not that lucky, and it took a lot of work, and I would say a bit of luck on his part to make that happen. A Vox in the Void, I feel like I should talk about because he's the dude who narrated the Trench Crusade trailer for the Kickstarter, and I'm a huge fan of his work and his voice. And from the outside looking in, I've never spoken to him, I've never interacted with him in any way, but from the outside looking in, it seems like there's a lot of work that goes into his stuff. I think his performances are incredibly good, and I think he does really interesting stuff by kind of focusing in a lot on fan fiction stories that people in the community have written and send to him to be done. So basically what I'm hinting at there is, like, I don't think his stuff is particularly inauthentic, and I don't buy that argument against his content. So what the hell is inauthentic content, basically? Inauthentic content is the new repetitive content. I never made a huge deal out of this, but my channel was kind of demonetized last year. It was a much smaller channel at the time, for what was called repetitive content. And I made a video appeal, and it was sorted within, I think, about 11 hours total. The demonetization kicked in for. I just sent in a video. I just explained what I did, how I was just talking about lore from a game, and I was using, like, art from the game and all that kind of stuff. And they were like, okay, now we understand what your channel is about. You can be back in the YouTube partner program. I was like, okay, cool. That has become the basis of what is now called the inauthentic content. And YouTube actually have on the YouTube Insider channel, there's a short where they talk about how it's not really aimed at AI, but I don't believe them. And I'm not saying I don't believe them because I'm a paranoid weirdo. I don't believe them because I've spent years working in a field where Google, Alphabet, YouTube, however it is you interact with them, are like the dominant force in how people should be approaching content. And their pattern of doublespeak is fucking crazy. And they just never end up saying what they should say. So this is inauthentic content, is basically content that's been designed for views, not people, and utilizes like very samey things, like the same images and the same titles and the same layouts and all that kind of stuff. So patternistic, templated content. Here's the problem in the lore space. For the most part, people want that kind of a pattern. They want things that kind of look the same, and because we're narrators, and especially in a Vox, in his case, he's got such a distinctive delivery that we're going out of our way to provide people with very clear, very concise, as well narrated as they can be videos, and that's now being picked up on as if it's AI voices. And for the most part, people want to watch our videos with 30% of their attention span because they want to watch them with, just on in the background whilst they're painting or whilst they're falling asleep or something like that. The visuals, to be honest, in our area are just not very important. So people will tend to use still images. Some folks will do a little bit of what's called retention editing, where things will move around just a smidge and stuff like that. And I'm looking at Vox's stuff. I'm assuming that's why he popped up in this wave that's going on right now. There's a huge amount of like AI channels are getting the legs cut out from under them, which is great. Like, I've got no problem with that whatsoever. Fucking AI slop, get out of here. Especially in the lore space. I can think of nothing lazier, frankly, than claiming you are so into a game that you're driven to do lore videos about it, and then the text of those videos is just AI shit. The voices are AI shit. The music is AI shit. The visuals are literally just a couple of JPEGs launched in for retention editing in DaVinci Resolve, and it all happens automatically. Like, put a little bit of yourself into the videos. I will have certain levels, I guess, of effort that go into different videos. The most basic one would be me talking and an image on the screen. And it's not particularly challenging to do, folks. And that's like the bare minimum. What I did, I guess, after my own brush with this kind of wave that has come in now, but like I saw the peak of it, or at least I got my first peek at it last year, that's why my videos became more visually interesting, right? That's why I started being on camera a little more. That's why I started doing series. So you may have noticed whenever I'm doing like a third-party models, those videos look a certain way. And whenever I'm doing official Trench Crusade lore, those videos look a certain way. And I started doing the lore readings first, which people want and get mad at me when I deviate from them. And then I started doing the latter half of those videos was my breakdown of the lore, right? To bring that uniqueness and personal element to it. And then I've got my own writing that I do, which is all me, and everything's narrated by me, and there's no fucking AI up in this bitch, and all the rest of it. So it's frustrating to see people like Remembrancer, to see people like A Vox in the Void getting hit with this garbage, because there's so many shit tier just AI channels out there doing terrible lore videos. Like some of the worst shit I've ever seen. And they seem to be fine. They seem to be allowed to just do their thing. Even though, like, Vox, I think, in his note on his channel about this, said he does like 3 videos a month onto his channel. And that's not a tremendous amount. When you go around and look at some of the AI channels, they're spitting out a video a day. Minimum a video a day. Some of these channels are doing 2 or 3 videos a day. And then they're trying to sit there and claim that, oh, you know, I'm not doing this stuff with AI. Eat shit. You're 100% doing it with AI. All the writing is AI. All the script is AI. There's nothing personal or unique or interesting in there. One of the things I like the most about Vox's channel is the fact that he tries to focus in on writing from within the community. And I imagine it's a great buzz for the people who send him their stuff to be like featured on his channel and to have one of their stories narrated in his voice. That must feel pretty cool. And now he's being punished for that. He's been punished for spending 6 years building a channel because all of a sudden tools exist where the work that he and YouTubers like him have put into the lore scene is now so easily replicated by fucking shitbirds with no genuine passion whatsoever, who seem to be skating by under this inauthentic content thing. So it's just a bit of a pain in the ass, basically. It will need to see, realistically, I feel like LoreTubers, you need to get ahead of this stuff before it comes for you. do what I did. And what I did wasn't enormously difficult, just to make each video a little bit more unique and a little bit more interesting. Just don't have like that still image there. Go on to any of the dozens and dozens and dozens of websites who are selling assets for videos. Find one that you like, that's laid out the way that you like, that's got the kind of content that you want, and just make those backgrounds a little more interesting. Like literally, I've got like different templates, and as I make my videos, I'm putting in the relevant images and a nice little quote somewhere from the lore, and I'm just like chopping all that stuff together in after spitting it out of Adobe After Effects. I put it in Premiere Pro and I edit it together there. And it means that there's constant motion somewhere in the frame. The total frame is changing pretty dramatically every like 60 to 90 seconds minimum. And it seems to be enough to show these automated systems, because that's one of the biggest problems, is they're just looking for what they see as being elements that are indicative of AI. And unfortunately, at a point in history for YouTube, they were really struggling to deal with things like the audiobook abuse thing that was happening, where people were just doing like literally just doing text to speak of books and throwing them up and making as much ad revenue as they could before the channels were being shut down. That ultimately is the biggest problem, is the people who were doing all this stuff to abuse the system and make a cheap buck are very happy to just burn channels and set up new ones and set up new AdSense accounts and all this kind of jazz. They're very happy to do it. They've got no attachment to the channels that they've built up all the time. Vox, I checked, his oldest upload was 6 years ago. So I don't know if there's older stuff than that. I don't know if he had prior channels to that. But there's 6 years of work gone into this channel as a genuine human being, trying to offer the community fun lore readings that they might never have found otherwise. And he's gotten fucked for it. So look, if you can, it sucks to suddenly have your channel disappear. If it's something that you're able to do, go over, take a peek at his channel. In the about section, you're going to find a tip jar. And if it's possible to send him a tip and help him get through this, then do so. I believe that he can get it sorted and he can get the channel back, but how long that takes is taking longer and longer and longer at this point in time, because with this wave going on, YouTube really seem to be reticent to admit their mistakes on some of these channels. They just do not want to turn around and go, no, the system fucked it. And if we had just had a human intervene before things got too big and, brassy, then we'd have known it and we could have remonetized your channel. But as it is, I guarantee you other people out there are going to make videos about this one because Vox's channel is so good. And it will probably get as much profile as the Remembrancer channel did. Like, can you imagine this happening to some of the truly huge channels out there? I think a lot of people would kick off. So, look, if you're a creator, get ahead of the need to separate yourself from what can be easily replicated by AI. Do as much of your own writing as possible. If if your channel isn't about that, source your stuff from real writers. Like, do what Vox did. Find that community fanfic. Make your visuals a bit more interesting, even if it's not necessary for us and what people want from us. It's worth doing. Make them more interesting. Serialize your stuff, kind of break it out a bit more. Try not to fall into patternistic titles and things like that. Just do what you can to kind of get ahead of this nonsense. Because I've been looking through, if you search inauthentic content on YouTube, there's videos either discussing the fact that it's basically designed to take the legs out from under AI channels, and then there's the people who run the AI channels doing videos about how to get around this shit and how to appear human instead of just doing their own fucking work. So we're gonna have to continuously work to separate and differentiate ourselves from the lazy fucking slop farms that are out there. What else can you do? Vox, I'm really sorry that this happened to you, and I hope it gets resolved by YouTube quickly. If you can, just go help the dude out. Just if it's something that's possible to do, or at least like leave a message of support, or whatever. You know, do what you can. All right, that's it for this video. I've rambled too much. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back to normal services around these parts over the coming days. All the best.